Today, I wanted to share my top 10 self-reliance skills. Hey everyone, welcome to Homestead Corner. I'm Jenny, and today I wanted to talk about top 10 self-reliance skills. There are tons of skills out there that we can learn, and I think lots of them are important. But I think I tried to narrow it down to just 10 that I would focus on to start with, because skills are one of your most important preps. We can stock up, we can do all kinds of random things, but skills are what's going to save you in the long run. If you've got a longer term emergency, you're going to need good skills. And skills don't cost anything. You can learn all of this stuff right on YouTube. If there's any of these things that you want me to do more videos on, I can definitely do more videos on how to do all of these things. These are all things that we do and skills that I think are so important. So let's jump right into the top 10 self-reliance skills. So the first one on my list is fire starting. We need to know how to start a fire, especially if everything is wet outside. If you go outside and try to start a fire with wet tinder and wet everything, it can be difficult. And practicing that can only help you in the long run, because emergencies don't wait until the weather is good. It may be the dead of winter, you may have 3 feet of snow outside or whatever, but being able to start a fire is going to give you heat, light, cook on it, all sorts of stuff. We need fire and heat to survive, to cook our food. So making sure we have got those fire starting skills under our belt is so important. Number 2 on my list is water purification. We love to stock up on water, make sure we have plenty in case of an emergency, but in a long-term situation or anything more than a couple of months, really, is your water going to last that long? We need gallons per day per person. So making sure that we can purify water, and so we have it in a longer term situation. We can only go 3 days without water. You will die without it. So we've got to make sure that that skill is under our belt and we know how to do it. There are lots of different things we can do to purify water, and we can use filters and stuff like that. It can be done naturally with, some sand and charcoal and grass and t-shirts and stuff like that. Also, it does not have to be difficult, but we want to make sure we've got these skills so we have them when we need them. And number 3 is basic gardening. I think that is so important. Even if you are just growing in containers on your patio or back porch or whatever you have, it's really important to make sure you've got those skills. Even growing some herbs in your windowsill in the wintertime, it's really easy to do, and you can have fresh stuff all year long that way. And definitely you can at least add flavor, it will add nutrients and things like that. But making sure we've got the basics down, how to amend soil, how to just basic planting and things like that, how to water it, and how to compost even. That is really important. Compost is wonderful for your soil and will help feed your plants so they grow big and nutritious. And number 4 on my list is basic cooking. There are so many people out there that don't know the basics of cooking and, how to just throw some simple ingredients together and make it taste good with different seasonings and things like that. I'm not talking about being a world-class chef or anything, but being able to just create and craft meals with what you have is really important, and knowing how to use those. And you don't want to wait until the last minute, until an emergency happens and you have to learn. You want to learn those skills ahead of time, so when an emergency happens, you're ready for it, and it's not going to be as difficult on you and your family. Number 5 on my list is preserving food. Being able to preserve food is so important. It really is not difficult, whether you're canning or drying or however you're going to do it. You can freeze food, and I like to freeze food a lot of times, but in an emergency situation, you may not have electricity to run that freezer, and anything that's in there, you may have to eat it up really fast or preserve it. So knowing how to do that ahead of time is so important. Whether you're drying it or canning it, whatever you're going to do, freeze drying, it's all great to have those skills ahead of time so you know how to do it. And number 6 on my list is foraging. Being able to walk out into the woods or into a local park or just down the street, you may see things that are completely edible. Learning how to forage and collect food is so important. I really think that is a lost skill that people need to have. Back in the Depression, a lot of people could not grow enough food. They didn't have enough land, or they weren't able to grow a large enough variety of food for their family. So they would go out into the woods and forage, or into a local park or the neighbor's field, wherever they could go to get extra food. And there are so many plants out there that are edible and medicinal. I think foraging is one of those things that really is a lifesaver, and especially in the winter time. I know I can walk out there in the woods in the dead of winter and get things that are going to help me, medicine and food. So making sure to learn that, just figuring out what is around you, what are the plants that grow naturally near you, you're going to be able to harvest food and medicine out of there. I think that's just so important. I love foraging, and it cuts down the grocery bill, really. You can save a ton of money by just walking around collecting food. And number 7 on my list is herbal medicine and first aid. I think those are so important. You need to know the basics of first aid, at least. How to clean a wound, how to bandage a wound, how to wrap an arm up, put it in a sling, how to make a splint, things like that. Those first aid things can be so important. And learning herbal medicine is another one, because if the store shut down, you are going to be able to still make your own medicine. And it doesn't work like those fast acting things that you get from the drugstore, but you're going to be able to still take care of those issues that you have, knowing what spices to keep in your cabinet so you can work on the specific illnesses that you may have. If you've got high cholesterol or high blood pressure or anything like that, or skin disorders, I mean, there are things you can do to help with that. Breathing teas, and just making a tea so you can breathe when you're sick, or if you've got chronic lung issues, it can help with that as well. There's just so much medicine out there, and there's a lot of stuff that we just keep right in our spice cabinets that are medicine. Our spices they make our food delicious, and they are also very medicinal. So learning herbal medicine, I think, at least the basics, and focusing on what your family needs. If you don't have high cholesterol or high blood pressure, but you do have chronic headaches or anything like that, focusing on those items are going to help you. There's no sense to learn a bunch of stuff that you're never going to use, but working on those things that your family needs, those are the things that you want to focus on. So just learning a little bit of basic herbalism and first aid, I think, is so wonderful. Keeping notes on the things that you've tried and how they work for you is really important, because what works for me might not work for you. It might work for you, but it might not also. You may need to adjust it, or use it a little bit differently, or use something different altogether. Lots of herbs cover lots of different things. So figuring out what issues your family has and what kind of things that you need to take care of your family is going to be super important. And books, lots and lots of books. I think they are so important. I forget things regularly, so I refer to my notes of things that I've done and what works for us, and I also refer to the books that I have. And I may know it, most of the time off the top of my head, but sometimes, especially in emergency situations, we get flustered and we forget things. So having those books and notes and things like that can be a godsend. And number 8, learning basic repairs. How to repair a curtain when it rips, how to repair a sock, how to, unclog the drain, how to fix a table leg, different things like that. Things that are going to come in handy for you and your family. We try to repair everything that we can ourselves because it saves us a ton of money. Hiring a repairman or a plumber to come in and unclog the drain is ridiculously expensive. It costs a ton of money. If you buy even a $1.25 snake at the Dollar Tree, you can clean that drain out a lot of times all by yourself and save tons and tons of money, hundreds of dollars, literally. And number 9, I think this skill is so important, and it is thinking outside the box, learning how to problem solve, things like that, getting yourself to think a little bit differently. How am I going to fix this issue? Problem solving is just such a big thing, and it can really help you. And so you can think outside the box. I will sit with a notepad. If I've got something that comes up, what are some ideas that come to mind that I could use? Which one is going to be the best option for me? Do I have the supplies to, fix this problem and in a timely manner and reasonably? It all matters. So thinking outside the box can really help you. So you may not be a conventional way to go after a problem, but sometimes unconventional is the best way. So we've just got to figure out what's going to work for us, and each person is going to be different, and that's okay. But whatever works for you. I think problem solving is one of those things that we can work on, and just trying to think outside the box. What else could I do? What else will work for this? It doesn't have to be one specific thing. You can really go a ton of different ways for just about everything. And number 10 on my list is self-defense and situational awareness. We have got to be able to protect ourselves. And if we're not paying attention to what's going on around us, what the situation is, it could definitely be a problem. That is going to hinder your self-defense. So paying attention to what's going on around us, that is a really great skill. Put that phone away. Pay attention to what's happening. Where are the exits when you go in a store? Who's walking up real close to you? Someone looking shady over there in the corner. Things like that. Just paying attention to what's going on around us can save us from a lot of situations. Situational awareness is huge. And self-defense. Sometimes we may get in a situation that we can't just run away from, and we've got to be able to defend ourselves. And I know not everybody likes to carry a gun or can carry a gun currently, but I think it's important to look at what your options are. Can you carry a pocket knife, a taser, one of those Coubatons in your hand that you can puncture things with, or anything like that? Chopsticks in your hair can be a wonderful thing. There are so many different ways that you can defend yourself, and it all starts with that situational awareness. I really believe it does. If you're not aware that someone next to you has a gun, then you're in big trouble. You definitely could be in big trouble, but just paying attention to what's going on can help so much. Who's that weird guy running through the parking lot towards you? Is he coming right at you, looking at you? Those are things we want to pay attention to and make sure that we're not overlooking that. We want to look around, see what's happening, and then what do you have to defend yourself with if it comes to that? We want to make sure we can defend ourselves. And, in defending yourself is also defending your home. It is so important. Making sure security lights, things like that. There's so many things that we can do. And skills are wonderful. Making sure we have these skills can save our lives in many situations. Not just long-term, crazy all-out collapse. It may be just a shorter term emergency. We are seeing all kinds of crazy weather. The grid can go down at any minute. We have all kinds of problems with our grid in this country, and everyone knows that. We've seen all kinds of issues over the last few years, and we need to make sure that we're prepared for those. Making sure we've got the skills to take care of our family can definitely be the best investment, which isn't going to cost you anything, just a little bit of time to learn these skills. That will be the best investment you ever make in preparedness. There are so many skills that you can learn, and lots of skills. You can really learn so many things, and a lot of times just a quick search on YouTube, you're going to find what you're looking for. If there's something that you want me to dig into a little bit more and do more videos on, please put it in the comments down below. I am more than happy to do these things. All the things that I know, these are all things that we do, so I can share the way we do it, but other people do things differently, and that's okay too, because something else might work better for you. Who knows? My way isn't the only way. It's just the way I do it. But that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!